now that we've recognized the physiological impacts and the psychological impacts and we're ready to make the change, how do we go from being an anxious, quote unquote, person to being someone who just occasionally experiences anxiety without letting it essentially control their frame of mind at all times?
Yeah, so that's the $1 million question, isn't it? And you could ask me that question, like where to start on any given day, and I'd probably give you a slightly different answer. And that's not because there's no formula. It's because, yes, there's a formula you can work through, but it's really important that people make it their own because we are all individuals. And so I like to offer people a kind of tasting platter, and you can taste each idea and each concept. You don't have to apply all of it, but you see what works well for you. For example, one of the things I love is cold showers because of how they have, oh my God, there's so many reasons I love cold showers. Let me start with it triggers our vagus nerve, which is the nerve that connects our brain to our gut. So it's sending us into rest and digest mode right out of that fight or flight mode when we add 30 seconds of cold water onto the end of your normal shower. It will give you a shock. You'll have that like, ooh, feeling, but I like to make it a positive thing. So I don't shriek and scream. I giggle and laugh when I do this. And it totally changes it if you go in with a smile on your face. So it's having a physiological effect of bringing you into a calm state. It's also, so it's beautiful for like breaking through that cycle of anxious thinking. And this is something you could just add in every single day and be slowly building up little reminders for your body to come back to rest and digest mode, come out of that fight or flight survival mode, come back to that baseline. Everyone's busy. We need to find ways that weave into our lifestyle. And I love that everyone's pretty much having a shower every day. Hopefully you are. Most days anyway. Most days. And so how easy is that to just add 30 seconds of cold onto the end of your shower? So there's little ways we can kind of flag that. And it's not the only thing, and it's not going to be like, you know, a silver bullet or anything, but it's certainly helping to remind your body to come back to this relaxed state. I also love the mindset component involved in that, which is most people don't like cold water. That's totally cool, especially if it's winter time where you are. Like in Australia, it's winter at the moment, and believe it or not, it actually gets really cold in Australia in winter, particularly down south where I come from in Melbourne. So it's not always appealing for people, the idea of going to cold water. Most people go, oh, I'm not going to try that because that's uncomfortable. I don't like it. I was the same. Like, I am a warm person. I've escaped Australia's winter. I'm in Portugal right now for summer. So I clearly love the warm, but I love a cold shower because I know how beneficial it is for me. I know that cold is my friend. I know that those 30 seconds, the first 30 seconds are the hardest part, like the most uncomfortable. And after that, you're fine. And I also know I can endure hard things and I'm capable of that. And to walk into that shower every morning knowing that you can endure an uncomfortable moment and you're capable of that sets you up in such a mindset that what else can you do? And if you can go from thinking you're this person that doesn't like the cold, no, I want to be comfortable all the time, and you can start to experiment with what you can do and what you can experience and withstand, then it totally changes your perception of, okay, well, if I thought I was this person that likes the warmth only and I can't do cold, but now I'm becoming quite a fan of these cold showers and I can do that every day. What else can I be? What other lies am I telling myself and limitations around my identity and who I think I am? Particularly an identity we tend to focus on, which is this idea that you are fundamentally an anxious person or a stressed person or a high-strung person. That's just a story you keep telling. It's not who you are. And I actually encourage people, next thing as a starting point, to work with loosening away from the label of I'm this person with anxiety and start to move into the idea that I can experience anxiety sometimes, but it doesn't mean that's who I am. Because often, Elliot, when we find that it's hard to, you know, what's the word, like overcome anxiety or move forward with anxiety, it's partly because there's a part of us that believes we're getting a benefit from it, which kind of takes us back to what we were talking about before. That's my secret sauce. That's how I'm so successful in my life. That's how I achieve things. So we think we can't get rid of it because if we get rid of it, we're throwing everything out. And that's where it gets really interesting. Asking yourself, what am I gaining from this anxiety? Sometimes it's other things. It might be attention. Maybe because you're the anxious one and you freak out. It's like your partner comes in and cuddles you and looks after you all the time, or your mum always did that for you. And so it's a way of getting love and feeling validated and important. So there's all sorts of things. Often though, it's some kind of a protection mechanism coming in there. And so we're terrified to let that go. And I have so much compassion for the part of us that's scared to let that go, because of course we want to protect ourselves. But we have to show our mind that actually we're okay and we've got this, and like you can protect yourself without the anxiety.
It's such a good point you make. And I had a guest on last week who had a similar background to yourself, and he said the exact same thing. It's like a lot of people do think he's exactly that, their secret sauce. And he was like, well, it's not the fact it's your secret sauce. It's the fact that you can't turn it off means it's not a superpower. If you could turn it on and off, then that would probably make it a superpower. And I was like, that's a good point. If you actually think about any superhero, they aren't controlled by their powers, they control their powers, right? So ultimately, if it's one of those things that you just can't switch off, and yes, you're super high functioning, but at the end of the day, where do you take a break from that?